Hey guys, this is Dan from learningcameras.com, and here we're going to take the Canon 24-70 f4IS brand new against the older 24-105 f4IS, and we'll just put these head to head, see if there's any difference besides the basics. Now overall, when you pick up these two lenses, they feel very similar. I will say that the Canon 24-70 is a little bit smaller, a little bit nicer feeling. The problem with the smaller is that it moves the zoom ring a little bit closer to the base of the camera, so it's a little bit more difficult to actually take this and spin it and activate the zoom while you're using the camera, but not a big deal. Now that the actual focus ring is about the same as far as distance, they're not a problem to activate on either camera. The 24-70 much easier to turn, and maybe even a little easy to turn. It almost feels almost as if it was just loose, and I worry a little bit about this activating accidentally. The 24-70 is a lot stiffer. Now if you're doing video, you're probably going to like this because you can do some quick throws. You'll be able to move this a lot easier on that. The old 24-105, it's a little more difficult to activate that, so if you're doing video it might hurt you a little bit. But if you're taking photos, you don't want to accidentally trip that focus, and so this might be a little bit of an issue for you if you're thinking about that. Now the lens hood is a little bit smaller on the Canon 24-70. Now it is loose on my camera and it is not on the 24-105. The 24-70 is much looser. Now for whatever reason they put an actual release on this, so you actually press something in order to take it off. So it's one more hassle, but I mean, given the fact that how loose it is, it's probably a good thing. I'm not sure if they planned that on purpose, but I don't like how loose it is because it makes me feel, especially when this is all the way out, it makes me feel like I'm actually moving the lens barrel, and I'm not. It's just the lens hood, but it moves around and it feels like it's moving around. So working our way to the front, pinch lens cap, thank you, because this is almost impossible. They had to make this very big in order for you to try to get in here and kind of get your fingers around it. This one, they can make the lens cap much easier to get to. Right in the middle there, comes off, comes on very easily. So basically the 24-70 is an improvement. Can't figure out about that lens hood. Other than that, definitely go for this one. Also keep in mind about that focus ring being so easy to press, and keep in mind about the zoom ring being so close to the camera body. It's a little tough to get to on that. So other than that, now let's take a look at some of these tests and see how these fare and see if there really is some improvements on the 24-70. Now when it comes to a sharpness test between these two lenses, I almost have to apologize for my full review of the 24-70. I gave some comparisons with it against the 24-105 before I had directly put them side by side. I was looking at the pictures of the 24-70 and they all looked very good, and I was overall more impressed than I have been in the past with my 24-105. But when I actually did the sharpness test and put these side by side, at 24 millimeters, there's probably a slight advantage to the Canon 24-105 at 24 millimeters. And now in the corners, we're definitely seeing that the 24-70 looks a little bit better. Chromatic abrasion is really bad in the 24-105. That is cured in the 24-70. But as far as straight sharpness goes, it looks like the 24-105 has a slight edge on the 24-70. Now when we bring that up to 50 millimeters, I'm seeing even a larger difference between these two. The 24-70 looks almost bad in comparison to the 24-105. Once again, we're seeing the chromatic abrasion is gone, but overall the images are just sharper on the 24-105, and it's never been considered a lens that I hold in high regards for sharpness. So I'm not sure what's going on. I tried even some micro adjustments on my lenses. It wasn't helping. This is a brand new lens. Actually, I received this copy that I'm using here from Lens Rentals, and they tested it, and they're saying that it's a very sharp lens, but I'm not getting the kind of results that that I should be getting on this. I've seen a couple other reviews that said the same thing, and I'm not sure what's going on this. It doesn't appear to have the sharpness that I thought it would have. Now when we get it up to 70 millimeters, it's almost a tie with the 24-105. It's definitely not winning anything on this sharpness test though. So overall, I can't say that the 24-70 seems to be any sharper than the 24-105. I mean, it's still plenty sharp. I'm getting good photographs on it. It's just that it's not it's not hitting the mark that I thought it would. And I don't know why Canon has not been able to pull this off, and I'm just not seeing those kind of results on this lens. Now let's take a look at vignetting on these lenses. On the 24-105, it really looked horrible in the tips of the corners. It went to near black. I don't know what happened, but right around the tips of the corners, it really fell apart. Before that, it was okay. It wasn't very soft, very gradual, but it was okay on that. The 24-70 is definitely a big improvement on that. It's still not very gradual at all. It still gets a little harsh into the corners, but definitely way better than the 24-105. Now, not a big deal on either camera because we can pull that out in software, but you will see that as improvement. I found that if I was showing the big corners on this, if you were mounting this on a full frame camera, the 24-105, I almost had to apply lens correction on that because it was really bad looking in the corners. Now, one sweet spot to the Canon 24-70 is the addition of a macro mode. Now, when we take a look at the lens, you actually have to turn and push on a little clip right here. I guarantee you that people are going to see this, not know what to do. It took me even a second to figure it out. You got to push it and turn. It turns to about 80 millimeters instead of 70, and that's when you'll be able to close focus macro. It was unbelievable when we were able to do that. The differences between what we were able to get on the 24-105 and the 24-70 were astonishing. This will almost replace a full macro lens. If you don't need quite 1:1, you're going to get 0.7:1. Very good close focusing, and it's a pretty sharp lens too. Most of your macro is going to be at f4 anyway, or even further stop down from that, so not a big deal that it doesn't work at f2.8, and image stabilization is going to be a huge help for macro. So if you're shooting macro, wanted to get a macro lens, you're going to love this lens. Now, we took both of these cameras into the sun to try to get them to show some flare. Not a whole lot on either of these lenses. Both of them are very good at controlling flare in most cases. You'd have to really get in the right spot in order to get it. Both of these are going to be coated lenses, and so you're really going to have a good time when it comes to flare. Overall, the contrast on the 24-70 looks a little bit better than the Canon. You're only going to see it when you zoom in into the actual picture, but it was noticeable when I did zoom in. The blacks are a little bit blacker. I'm not sure how it'll show up on this video because it's compressed, but you can definitely see the results in a still picture. Now, when we take a look at the bokeh on both of these lenses, you got an 8 blade on the Canon 24-105, you got 9 blades on the Canon 24-70. When we take a look at the results, the 24-70 is definitely smoother. Everything is just a little bit softer and melts together a little bit better than the 24-105. Now, the 24-105, two things. One, the circles still look very good. It's very concentric circles on that. It's just not quite as soft. It's a tiny bit harsher. But it is easier to get a shallow depth of field shooting at 105 millimeters than it is at 70. These are both f4 lenses, so if you're going for that shallow depth of field, it's going to be a little bit easier to pull off shooting at 105 millimeters on this 24-105 lens. Now, as far as focusing goes, we took both of these lenses, mounted them to a Canon 5D Mark III, took them out and set a timer up. Now, what the goal was is at 5 seconds we were going to click this from infinity and see how long it took to focus to about 2 feet. Now, overall, my results are pretty consistent with this test, which is why I did it. I did it about 5 times, but the average for the 24-105 was about 0.55 seconds, so 5.55 seconds was right around my average. You can see that in the results, and the 24-70 was actually a little bit closer to 5.45, so you were getting maybe a tenth of a second faster. Overall, both of these are USM motors. Both of them were very quick. I didn't see a huge difference. I got very accurate focus results with the 24-70. I feel that you'll be happy with both of these. These are Canon lenses with their fast motors. They're going to be great for focusing. So in conclusion on these tests, we have a little bit different lenses here because we can go up to 105 millimeters on the 24-105, and we just can't, actually it's on this one, and we can't do that on the 24-70. Now, when it comes to straight build, they're both built very good. Some of the things are a little bit loose on the Canon 24-70. The lens hood is a little bit loose. The focus ring is a little bit loose compared to what we get on the 24-105. So unless you want something that is going to be very quick to swing from side to side like the focus ring, you're probably going to be more comfortable with the 24-105. I actually prefer the feel for it for photographs. When it comes to video, sometimes having an easy to move focus ring is a little bit better. Also, it is smaller, but that kind of works against us a little bit. When I hook this up to a body, that ring for the zoom is going to be very, very close to the body, and so that's kind of a negative when we go against it. Also, I can't get over this lens hood and how it's rocking back and forth, and we do have a lock on there to keep it on there. I don't find the need to ever have that on this one. It clicks firmly into place, so I'm not sure what's going on that one. So it has its negatives when it comes to build on that, actually, even though it's a smaller lens and even a little bit lighter. So when it comes to our straight image quality too, I'm seeing some issues with the straight sharpness. Overall, the contrast seems a little bit better on most of it, but the chromatic abrasion is better, vignetting is better. Flare is a little bit reduced on that. I have gotten it to flare. It seemed to be the exception rather than the rule, though. But on sharpness, it just doesn't seem to be delivering the results that I would have expected from this new lens from Canon. Now, when it comes to the macro abilities, that's something that the 24-105 just doesn't have. We're blowing away what anything does on this. So if you don't mind, if you do want a macro lens, you're going to love this 24-70 just because it's going to bring that lens with that kind of a lens with you on your body. Now, overall, I can't love this lens at f4 IS. I really expected a little bit better results than I've been getting when I compared it directly to the 24-105. In its own right, if you compare it just by itself, it's not a bad lens at all, but there's a couple things that I just can't get over on this, and it feels like a little bit of a step back. And once again, I almost have to apologize a little bit for my last review of this lens I put it through its paces by itself, but I hadn't compared it directly to the 24-105 at that point in time. And although the sharpness is very good, it's a Canon L lens after all, it just doesn't come close to what we're used to on the 24-105, even though there are some aspects of the image that are good. So kind of a toss-up on there. It is what it is. We can get this one very, very cheap as of now. The 24-105 is a kit lens for Canon for a long time. You can find it anywhere for it's a very inexpensive kit. So this one, it's going to be $1,500. I haven't seen it much cheaper than that. If Canon starts packaging it as a kit, that's going to make it a little bit cheaper. But we do have a Tamron 24-70 with a review coming up on those two put together. The 24-70 gives you an extra stop of light, still has the image stabilization on there, and it is $200 less at this moment in time. So let's see if the Tamron can compete with the Canon. But overall, between the two, the Canon 24-70 gives you a couple more features on that, but if you have the 24-105, you're probably not going to love the upgrade other than the macro ability. And we're seeing a little bit better on the stabilization than the 24-105, but then again, it's really a little bit minor on that. So that's going to be the differences between those lenses. And sound off if you have any questions, any tips on the sharpness, anything like that. That's just what I've been getting on this test.